Okay, this is what I would propose for our discussion. That's four things really to discuss. Let's talk and arrive at whatever consensus we have as to what our view is towards the rehab of the third floor. And once we make that decision, if we decide we're not gonna do it at all, then we don't have to worry about the master plan or the architect fee proposal, whatever. If we decided we are gonna do it, then we'll go to the next one. So let's begin with decide what are we gonna do in terms of the third floor remodel? Okay? Second thing, I wanted to hear from everybody, and I kind of debated with myself whether I should go first or let everybody go. But let me go first, and then you can feed off of that, and you hate it or you don't hate it. And I think we can probably come to an agreement on a lot of things right off the bat, okay? Okay, several points that I thought those achievements. Number one, that there is a need to remodel the third floor. I saw it, to me, it looked like a rat's nest. So it did not work. I mean, and the real problem here is space utilization. We have to utilize that space better for the employees that are in there. And second point I want to make, Berman knows how to do that. He's proved it the first and second floor. He's proved it on another project. I have a lot of personal confidence in him that he does the job right. So that's the second point. Third, there were 5 options presented to us. Let me just talk about them for a second. First is the complete master plan, $5.2 million. Next is the master plan without the restrooms, 4.3. Next is replace the finishes at restrooms. Fourth is replace the finishes in no restrooms. Fifth, restrooms only. The last 3, I don't think are worth it. They're putting lipstick on a pig. And that's all it is.
May I have your attention, please? The library will be closing in 5 minutes at 9 p.m. Please gather your belongings and prepare to exit the building. Thank you.
Okay, so the last 3 options really don't deal with the core problem. The core problem is the utilization of the space so it's useful for the employees. They don't deal with that. Painting doesn't deal with that. Making a new bathroom doesn't deal with that. Okay, what does? Well, the master plan, and you talk about the restrooms, my view on that is the restrooms are adequate the way they are now. It is nice to have a shower, nice to have a fancier restroom, but they're not a necessity. And that knocks us down to about $4.444,000 as being the remodel. We have to add to that the 600 and some thousand, well, plus the other figure. I forget what it is. It comes up to about the chiller and the other, and the elevator.
Well, the elevator, yeah.
Yeah, that's part of it. We're taking it out of the reserve fund. Okay, so that's 1.2 million. Okay, so you have 1.2 million plus the 4,344,000. I think that's a big enough fight to take on for 1 year. I would not go beyond that. I would not do the bad. You can tell me what you think. And then the issue is, can we afford that? Okay, I agree with the analysis. We can move $3 million over into the reserve fund. If we do that and we take out the 5-point-something million we need, we're getting down fairly low. And I think, and we need to get our 5 months about 5.4 million. I figured that out by just taking our expenses for the last 3 months, adding them up and divided by 3, and as a monthly figure for our expenses. So I figure we need 5.5 million, roughly $5,455,000 to have that reserve in place so we can deal with another screw up by the county and not collecting the taxes. You know, the first one, this is the second one I dealt with. The first one was a once in a lifetime event. Now we have, it's twice in a lifetime event, and for all I know, next year will be 3 times in a lifetime event. So we cannot totally rely on the county to do their job. We can't. They've proven they don't do it. So we have to have that reserve present. So at this point, whether we have an increase in the tax levy, I don't think it's going to make much difference one way or the other because it's only $134,000. And we're talking millions, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then, so I conclude we can afford it, but there are big unknowns. We talked about one unknown in the private session. Other unknowns are we going to have another chiller-like problem come up? This is a big building, and we don't know what's going to come up. So we have to build in a safety net to pay for that. We have the possibility of another delay in the tax collections. So we've got to prepare for that, and that's why we have to keep at least 5.5 million in the reserve fund. So the bottom line of all this, and you talk about inflation in the economy, well, I think we learned from the COVID situation that people are going to pay their property taxes. Because in COVID, there were people out of jobs.
The library is now closed. All library patrons must exit the building at this time. Thank you. Good night.
So the bottom line to all this, what I would propose is doing the project without the bathrooms, doing the chiller and doing the elevators, and no tax. So, Barry?
Yeah.
You go first.
I wrote down your points, so I can quickly address them one at a time. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I do think that the third floor is in need of a remodel, and I think it's a great investment for the building and for the staff and for the future of the library, so I do agree with that. I was not here for the previous remodel, but my experience in enjoying the new library space the architect has done has been fantastic. So like you, I have confidence that they'll execute an amazing plan on the third floor, so I agree there. In terms of the 5 options, I also agree with you in terms of the finishes. I think the least 3 options, least expensive options are not fixing the true problem of space. That being said, I am not willing yet to rule out the restroom plan. I would like to go through the quoting process to fully understand how much everything is going to cost. And then evaluate once we get that in, like maybe there's ways to cut back once we see the overall budget for what the entire scope of the project would be, maybe making the bathrooms possible. So, but in general, I do agree with you. It was really shocking to see the chiller expense. I do think we have to be careful. And it was almost like, you know, get tip for tat there with how much the bathrooms cost. So to me, it was like almost a direct spot. But I do like the recommendation that was presented in the memo, just about at least go through the voting process, understanding what the plans would be for the bathrooms, and if there's a way once we go through to cut costs, I think that's what I would like to see done. Yeah, and in general, I also agree with your assessment on the tax levy. It's not really that much at the moment. I think there are other ways to benefit that, especially just making sure we're being fiscally responsible to the community members as well as the library. So that's what
Let me start with the tax levy. That's a more concern. So I agree with no increase in the tax levy. We're looking at our 7-year moving money from general operating into reserve capital on. In 15, 16, 17, we were only able to move 300,000, 200,000, and 500,000. Last 3 years, Bishop Ray will move million. I can't see us as taxpayers to kick it more, but we're able to move million, and in the past, we were only moving 250,000. So I can't see the asking taxpayers to be. So, with the renovation, I agree the concern that chiller suddenly coming up is not on our list at all, the things that are in need to be spent capital, 800,000 pop up, it's a concern. I can see Mary's point, but let me ask this, if the architect draws it up now, and we see what that costs, can we not do that now, that his architectural plans would still be good a year later? You know, in other words, you can pay him to draw the plans out, but maybe that piece doesn't get implemented, but if we wait a year, his plans still be, we wouldn't have to pay for them again.
No, unless we have it, I can't even think of why we would want this, but unless we ask for a new design.
Right.
But if it's a viable plan, drawing and design, then we wouldn't have to repay him to do all that, we could just wait to construction.
So we can put that off for a year. Then I could go along with Mary's suggestion, letting the architect do it all now, so it slows, but maybe not moving forward on doing the bathroom clusters, adding it to the queue for, like, the following year, the year, whatever, as long as that's.
Just want to mention one point about that too, what you were saying, I can't remember if I mentioned it in here, but one benefit is that even if we almost are sure that we're not gonna go for the rest, if we get the bidding, then we have a more concrete on what the cost.
Right, I understand the bidding wouldn't be binding if we waited.
Right, but it'll give us a better, more than a ballpark, it'll give us an accurate.
What she said.
And I'm gonna echo all of those same sentiments. You know, I can see us very well delaying the bathroom renovation. I think that the bathroom renovation is still needed. So I think that just it maybe doesn't have to come in the first initial construction phase. But I do think that I would like to see that on the docket in the following year if we're able to get the money so that we can, you know, put that one in. But I do think that chiller was a big, you know, that was a big blow. So I think that that's. But I think that would be something that, you know, we have to take care of that first, and then the bathroom renovation, I would like to see happen in the near future after the initial construction phase.
Yes, yeah, I think the bathroom renovation is needed, but it's not that massive. And my only hesitation is, just like Mark said, the shower, I don't know how necessary that is. I did talk to you about perhaps, you know, having a space removed to have employees that work out during the day. They just need a break, you know, get up, stretch around, maybe have a piece of yoga or do a stationary body work. Just something to get the blood flowing. But that's the same point. I think it is necessary that we provide the employees with the environment that helps them in producing the best work possible. Because we value them and we value this institution. And this isn't something that's going to be just, you know, benefiting just a few. It has to benefit all of our employees. And as far as the tax goes, I think, yeah, we can now hold off, but then I wonder at what point we have to face it and what would the circumstances be. That's my concern. So, otherwise, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
I think that I think the restroom is necessary. That, you know, I don't think that you will have done a third floor if you don't do the restroom. And zero tax levy at this time, I think is good. What else was there? Just moving on with that plan, et cetera, as you've asked, makes sense to me because then at the end of that time, we can take a look at whether we want to move further or not. So you got me on that. And that's that.
All right, so I absolutely support moving forward with the master plan. I think it's important that we carry forward the recommendation to our staff level and that we update the facility. And as everybody here is saying, that it becomes an even more functional and I hope inspiring, productive space for everyone. I appreciate, Mark, all of your sound points, and so I agree with your points, and I really like what Mary added about moving forward with phase one with the architect, and then, yes, we will see what the cost proposals end up being, and then we can make a more informed decision about whether to go with the complete master plan or the master plan for now without the restrooms. So we'll know that, I think, once we go into that phase one. As to the levy, I support a 0% increase in the tax levy, $134,750. I trust that we can work within, our budget to make up for that in other arenas. And order that way.
Okay, we have a consensus, no tax levy. Okay,
Well, we have to, that's always just flash.
it's a flat, no increase. Okay, we will approve the third floor master plan to include restrooms. We will approve the architectural fee proposal to include work on the restrooms. And we'll approve the construction management fee proposal to include restrooms. Right?
Yes, and just one more point of clarification that I think you all mentioned, which is if for some reason, the economy, unpredictable things, if things were to occur where we get that master plan with the bathrooms, but then we determine that we do not have that in the budget or it's not prudent to move forward, what I've heard everybody here say is we've got the plans, I think Jean, you elucidated this more, we've got the architect's master plan, and we could then, maybe in the following year, or whatever the timing is appropriate, we could utilize that master plan. Are we all hearing that same thing? Are you guys understanding that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, well then I need a motion that on the tax levy, there will be no increase in the tax levy for 2020.
So,
Second,
Second.
all in favor, oh, you have to do it individually.
Yes.
yes,
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 okay. Next is a motion to approve the third floor master plan to include work on the restrooms in the plan.
so moved.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, more money?
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Yes,
yes,
Okay, next is approval of the architect's fee to include work on the restrooms. I have a motion on that.
And the rest of the.
And the rest, well,
Including
he
those.
just did the master plan. The architect fee proposal.
I would just say the fee proposal for the architect's period is in the.
Okay.
This is the master plan.
Motion to approve the architect's fees, period. I have a motion.
second,
Okay,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
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 okay. And finally, approval of the construction management fee proposal to include work on the restrooms. I have a motion on that.
So,
Okay, second.
a second.
Okay, in favor?
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
yes,
yes.
Okay, you done? Okay.
Very organized, Mark, thank you.
I've got some housekeeping I can choose
Oh,
for.
hell, my sleeping bag.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
good. Second, all in favor, yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Mark, that was Michelle, I'm glad that you won and that you took